The following presentation is for a custom app for a German engineering company. And to begin with, I'm going to show how they can load the library that I'm sending them. And this is a demo library. It will come as an email attachment. And if they just press on it, they'll notice the list of applications that can open that file. Press on GraphPad. And it won't create any message, unfortunately. I need to fix that. But what it will have done is it will have loaded a new form, their form, as well as a library of their symbols, and this is the library that they'll be seeing. Now you'll notice everything's in German. This is a German company that I'm presenting to, and to switch the language of everything that's been translated, just go to the settings and then pick the language of choice. And so I've set it to German, and now everything that I've translated will appear in that language. Now their use case is to create engineering drawings in the field, and it's around piping. And so they have a couple of symbols, and I'll show how to use those. So if they have a elbow, for example, these elbow symbols allow you to attach lines to them. And we'll just go through a section of piping. And so we can add another symbol of a T section. We'll attach that onto the existing piping and then continue on around. So we'll create two more lines and then fittings appropriately and drop those fittings into place. That didn't quite attach. And again, oops, down here. And now since this isn't quite spaced correctly, we'll move it to the side. Now as we've been dropping these symbols in, we'll notice that this table has been populated. And so we've got 3 elbows. This term wasn't translated, unfortunately, and a T section. And now we could add our dimensions. So we can, GraphPad is a dimensional drawing tool, and so we can have a physical dimension or a calculated dimension, or we can overwrite that dimension. In this case, I'm going to select this dimension, which is in millimeters, and now I'm going to use the Bluetooth connected, and I'll just show the Bluetooth connection. Actually, we can't select it once it's connected, but we'll see it's connected as a Bluetooth device. And now if I use this, I can create a measurement. Now this is going to show the first bug, and that bug is that even though I've got it set to millimeters, it's actually providing me with a dimension in meters. And so we'll also see that it's only going to a single decimal point, and I know that's going to be an issue for this company as well. So those are things that I know are going to have to be addressed. But in addition to that, so if we added additional dimensions, we'll just show that around this section of tubing, because we want that in the correct dimensions. We can override these by typing the field or by using a laser tape measure. But for each one of these, in addition to the overall links, we need more information about this particular elbow. And that's where these other drawings come in. And so if we drop the drawing in, it shows a kind of isometric view of the item that's being added. But in addition, it's got text fields, and these allow us to put in the dimensions that need to be captured. And so we could put in, for example, 500 millimeters, and we can tab through and put in the other dimensions as well. It's probably 4,000. Oh, that's probably too much. 400 millimeters, and again another 500 millimeters. Okay, so we've captured these dimensions, and now we can see we've got a very accurate depiction of this very complicated scenario. Again, if we look at the other symbol, we can drop that in and put those dimensions in, etc. for each one of these. Now we'll notice if we look at our table that those symbols were not added to the table, and that's because GraphPad works has symbols which are both countable symbols and also symbols which are just can be displayed, text, etc. So if we look at the library, we'll actually see how that works. So we can see a particular symbol. If we go and we edit that symbol definition, we'll see that it's got a countable parameter, and if it's not set to countable, then it's not going to show up in any tables. If it is set to countable, it will kind of record. It'll try and keep track of how many objects have been added. So that's the general gist of this particular customization and how it would work. Other things that are noteworthy is that there is an integration capability. Now, as of now, what I've been working with is contractors who are working in the field. And so I've added features for them, but to demonstrate the concept, I have to actually close this again so it'll pick up my current location. But say, for example, I wanted to have an appointment. I can enter an address and it'll resolve it, or I can actually just type on the screen and it'll bring up the location on the map for me. I do have to put in a name here. Okay, and I'll save that and we'll get the mapping directions. Because I'm working with contractors, it's very important that they be able to get turn-by-turn directions. And so it'll actually, if we open that, we can actually go get turn-by-turn directions, and it'll flip over to the Apple's Maps, and we can actually just kind of use that. It'll, if it's on the phone, it'll give us those turn-by-turn directions. If I go back to GraphPad though, when I actually open an appointment, it actually downloads the information. Not just the appointment information, but any information that I've had set up. So if, for example, I open a form and I'm going to open up just this generic form here, we'll see that any information that I had for that form has been downloaded. So I've got the address, I've got my name, but it could be a lot more information, and it pre-populates things for us. So those are the basic gist of the features of GraphPad and how I think that this would work for this engineering company. There is a lot of work that goes into setting it up. So many of these symbols, particularly the ones that have text, are beyond the scope of what the application can do on its own. I really have to use some tools that I've created, and actually some text files that I've created just to make that happen. And then the forms themselves. And one other thing I'd like to demonstrate is these are multi-page documents. So if you open another form, any text that you've entered that's relevant will be copied over. We have also documents that have multiple different types of forms. For example, if we go into I think this is it right here. This type of form would actually have various different form capabilities in addition to a drawing page, contract, the counting and the calculation of the invoice, etc., or the estimate. And that is my presentation. I will be sending along this library to the company in question, and hopefully this meets their needs and it's something that they'd like to explore. Thank you very much.